like Michael Franti don't come along too often. He makes some of the coolest music going, and he does it consistently.
A revolution never come with a warning.
Hip-hop, funk, reggae, folk, rock and roll, all rolled into one. And to top it off, the man's got brains, politically active, socially conscious. Back in the 80s, Franti went to the University of San Fran on a basketball scholarship. But the athlete became an artist. He wrote poetry, listened to hip-hop and punk on campus radio, and from there, he formed a band called the Beatniks, and then another one called the Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy.
Television, the drug of a nation.
That band lashed out against injustice in the world, and it won them big-time respect. How much? Well, U2 picked them to open for their Zoo TV tour. By 1994, Franti had formed a new band, Michael Franti and Spearhead. Over the next 10 years, they built a cult following with lyrics about AIDS, war, corporate America, gay rights, and the death penalty. Definitely not fair for your typical top 40 band. Franti, also a peace activist. He's organized a yearly festival called Power to the Peaceful in San Fran. He's also been to Iraq, the Palestinian territories, and Israel to document people affected by war. What did he take? Well, a video camera and, of course, a guitar. And there is the bio of the man, and you can see, here is the man, Michael Franti. Nice to see you.
Nice to have.
How are things, man?
Good.
Excellent. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. You've got a record and DVD, but I want to start with this for people who perhaps don't know that much about you or don't know this film that you made. You went to a place that is in the news every day. I'm talking about Iraq. Take a look at this.
I've always been so outspoken about my political beliefs and my music, so I was really nervous about playing to a room full of cats holding M16s. I come walking in with my wooden folk guitar.
What's up, my brother?
How you doing? What's up? What's up? Young Jukes, how you doing? All right now? All right now?
What's your name?
Taylor.
Taylor, respect. Thanks for having me here tonight. And I just wanted to come over here and see what y'all were going through. And I hope that y'all make it home safe. Please tell me the reason behind the colors that you fly.
Man, I bet you've played some tough rooms in your life. How was that one?
Toughest room I've ever played. Was it? Because all these cats, they've got an M16 on the bar, and they've got a beer in front of them. And I'm like, hey, I'm here to sing songs about peace and love on my wooden folk guitar. And they're looking at me like, couldn't they have sent Jessica Simpson to entertain us or something, you know? But what happened was I sang the song. That song there is called Bomb the World. The lyrics say we can bomb the world to pieces, but we can't bomb it into peace. And the whole room went quiet, you know, and I went around and talked to each of these cats and asked them where they're from and why they're there. And I thought they were going to be, like, attacking me, you know, but their attitude was like, man, this guy's got big cojones to walk in here and to sing a song like that to us.
Yeah.
And so they treated me with respect, you know, and told me that they really believed that the reasons that they were going there were different than what they discovered, and now they just want to go home.
You know, and for a lot of people watching this, we always hear about musicians. You alluded to that in your piece. You're always outspoken about what you think. The anti-war movement is a big movement now, certainly in the community. You didn't go there with an organized USO tour, any of that stuff?
No, it was just me and some friends.
How'd you get in, man? Is it hard to get into Baghdad now?
It's so funny. I had a harder time coming across the 49th parallel today than going into Baghdad. You fly to Amman, Jordan, you buy a $200 plane ticket, you get on a 16-passenger plane, you fly to Baghdad, and then when you get over the airport, the pilot says we're going to do a spiral descent in order to avoid a hit from a surface-to-air missile.
Awesome.
And I'm thinking, he said spiral, right? That's the thing that spins around. So you just go straight down, you spin 13 times, and you land on the ground, and that's it. You go through, and they ask me what you're there for, and I said, I'm here to play music for people, and they're like, well, we've never had one of those, but just go ahead on in. So.
Wow. Wait, when the plane was spiraling, were you there? Oh, there I am, big-time left-wing musician, smart move.
Yeah,
guy.
I was screaming. I was
well, you know, the movie, and I know I'm not alone, the Musician's Search for the Human Cost of War, talk about that search, because you are very outspoken, especially when it came to what's going on in Iraq and what's going on now. Tell me about this film.
Well, it was pretty simple. I didn't want to talk to generals or politicians because I got sick of seeing that on the news every night, having this war explained to me with high-tech graphics and charts and stuff. I wanted to see what life was like for people, for everyday people, for doctors, for teachers, for musicians, for poets, for taxi drivers, restaurant owners. And that's what I did. I just go play on a street corner. Then people would talk to me, and then I would turn on the video camera and say, you know, take me into your home, show me what your life is like. And they take me into the places where they hid during the bombings. They take me to their hospitals. I meet kids with blast injuries. And I spent almost probably 95% of my time with Iraqis. And then at night I'd go, like in that scene, I'd go and meet with U.S. soldiers for a little bit.
You know, did you go in there? I mean, you go in there being the man that you are. Did you come out learning something about them that perhaps you didn't know before? Because you know how you always hear, and both sides have the kind of, they stake their, you know, this is my part of the land, and I'm not moving from my position until you go and see this.
Well, I guess the main thing is that there's a lot of myths that were debunked from me. So even as somebody who generally feels like aware of what's happening in the world, you know, I had no idea that these cats who were there in the Army didn't want to be there, you know, and I had no idea that Iraqi people were enduring so much beyond just the initial bombing. They're enduring no electricity, no clean water to drink, limited access to health care, and every day that this goes by, the anger builds up. And this quote-unquote insurgency that we hear about every night, it sounds like there's just a few rebels who are just these disgruntled guys or something, but it's not. It's a rebellion, a resistance against the occupation. Iraqis want America out.
I'll play another clip here from the film. A different environment, though. You're trip in the Middle East here. Let's take a look.
It was so amazing to see kids whose families had had their homes demolished, who had been shot at, who had been beaten, whose parents were dead, who were so excited and so happy to be around music. Once again, Habibi was a huge hit.
Habibi, 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 Habibi.
Gaza Strip?
Gaza Strip.
Singing Habibi?
Yeah.
My love.
Yeah. Habibi is the song that I wrote. I heard everybody in the Arabic-speaking part of where I was saying Habibi, Habibi, or Habibti, which is the effeminate version. And it means my lover, my sweetheart, my dear friend, you know. And I thought, wow, they're not really getting my English song, so I'm going to just take this one word and turn it into a song. And everywhere I went, it was like a hit song. You know, I'd sing, every kid would want to clap and sing. And there in the Gaza Strip, I met kids who, you know, whose families had their homes destroyed because of the home demolition that's done by the Israeli army. And you see how they're hit so hard. And then you go to the Israeli side, and you see these, you know, first world condition shopping malls and supermarkets, but people living in fear every day that as they walk into that shopping mall that a suicide bomber could walk in. You know, and so you have people on both sides, and it's tough. You know, the situation with Iraq is different. You know, it's got its own 10,000 years of history there, and the situation in Israel and Palestine have their own 10,000 years that live up to the time there. But what I found is that it's universal. No one wants to live in the fear of dying every day. And the more days that violence occurs, the further and further it polarizes people politically.
You know, listen to this record here and the stuff that you've done over the years. You take stands on issues, and I wonder if, like, how do you deal with it when people look at you and say, who are you to tell me what to do? You know, you know, do you understand the nuance of the situation and things like that?
Well, I'm just an average person. I'm not anybody unique or special, but I do try to take the time to listen to all sides. I do try to take the time to go to places and sit down and talk with people who have had first-hand experience. And I think that all of us have an obligation as human beings, not as a politician or as a leader or as a musician or a celebrity or anybody. We all have responsibilities as human beings to try to be as aware as we can as what's happening in the world and to change our part of the world, you know. And so that's what I did. I went there with a guitar. I didn't go there on a peace mission. I went there to sing songs for people on the street because it's what I know how to do.
Nice to see you, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
All right.
Michael Franti.